everyone, Meg here with Truvy. Today we're going to be working on some cooking vocabulary as we make some chocolate banana bread. And we'll go through a bunch of different cooking action verbs and words for the kitchen. If you're coming from our newsletter or if you're interested in subscribing to our newsletter, the link is in the description below. I highly recommend it. We are sending out new videos with new written resources as well, just like this one every single week on Friday. So go ahead, the description has the link. All right, so first to start, we're gonna preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. We cook in Fahrenheit, not Celsius here in the US. So that's called preheating. That's another word. This is the oven and this is the stove top. So the stove top is where you cook and fry things. The oven is where you bake things. Okay, so first we're going to gather the ingredients. The ingredients are all the parts that are used to make up the whole thing that you're cooking. For example, we have 2 eggs, a half a cup of sweetener. I use honey. So one thing to know about cooking in America is that we use cups and tablespoons and teaspoons. We don't use grams or ounces. It's a little different, so if you're cooking off an American recipe, you'll definitely see things written in cups. So there we go, half cup of honey, 2/3 of a cup of applesauce. So we're just gonna pour this in here, if it will pour. This is what pouring typically is though. It's when you kind of have one liquid or loose substance going into a container or a jar or a cup of another. So I'm just kind of tapping this as well on the side. That's another word. Oh, that's more like 1 cup. So we're gonna have to pour some of that back into the... Okay. I never said I was a cook. And now we have a teaspoon of vanilla. So this is a tablespoon, this is a teaspoon. You can see the size difference. Teaspoon is little. Think of it like you're using it to mix up something like tea. Tablespoon is a big one. This is like what you'd use for dinner. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I'm just gonna pour the liquid into the spoon there the best I can. And then I'm just gonna pour that right into the bowl. 6 bananas that we need to mash up. We're gonna put them in this bowl right here and mash them. Mash is another great word that you will see in a lot of American recipes. All right, so I've got the bananas and I'm gonna peel them. This is what peeling a banana is. Okay, so mashing is when you take a fork like this and you press down on the food that you're trying to make kind of like a baby food substance. Kind of press like this, just like that. That's how you mash. You kind of press it against the side of the bowl. All right, the bananas are all mashed up now. As you can see, they're kind of like a little gelatinous, as one may say. And now we are going to combine all of the wet ingredients. I already put the vanilla in here, honey, so we're gonna pour that right into here. This is pouring, or if you're going like this, that's drizzling. Kind of like how you make a pattern. See, we'll drizzle the honey. So I'm drizzling the honey into the bowl. There we go. Now let's do the applesauce. We'll pour that right into the bowl here, the big mixing bowl. This right here is a measuring cup. This one is a mixing bowl. We're gonna crack the eggs. Crack them. That's called cracking an egg. There we go. We are going to mix and stir up everything. Stir and mix are pretty much interchangeable. Mix, I'd say, is used a lot for baking, and stir is used a lot for cooking. And it's looking pretty good. It looks all set here. So now we're gonna move on to the dry ingredients. These are the wet ingredients because they are wet. Now we're gonna move on to dry, which is like flour, baking soda, baking powder, and anything else. Cocoa powder for sure. 2 cups of flour that we need to pour into the measuring cup and then dump into the mixing bowl. 1 teaspoon baking soda, 1 teaspoon baking powder. These help the bread rise and probably do other things, I don't know. 1 teaspoon of salt as well. This salt is really amazing. I got it at the salt flats in Salt Lake City, Utah area, the Bonneville salt flats. So I literally got this off the ground myself, came home, put it in an oven, dried it out, and now we use it on pretty much everything. It's really delicious. It's very healthy. The 1/2 cup dark cocoa powder. Let me get that. All right, here it is. Cocoa powder, the best thing ever. Oh, the oven is ready. It's preheated, so we gotta get moving here. We need 2 cups of flour. We're just gonna use this dirty cup here because it doesn't really matter too much. 2 cups of flour. Tap or slap, you could say. slap, tap. A teaspoon of baking powder, put it right in here. Teaspoon baking soda, teaspoon of salt. That's some salty salt, that's for sure. A half cup of dark cocoa powder. This is called peeling when you take the plastic off. We're gonna peel that off, do a half cup. We're gonna mix the dry ingredients first, just like this on the top. So when we mix them on the top, it kind of lets them mix up a little bit before you mix it into the wet ingredients. So we kind of just stir it together before we stir it into the wet. Here is a whisk. A whisk is the utensil we can use for whisking. Honestly, I prefer a fork, but I'll show you how to use a whisk. All right, we're just whisking this up. It's all whisked. We're good to go. And now a lot of people like to lick the whisk. It's pretty good. That's actually really good. I'm thinking that we add in some sliced strawberries because I want to give you the vocabulary words for slice and cut as well, which I think are important. The best little red fruits ever. First, we are going to rinse them. That's what we do before we use any fruits or eat any fruits. In America, we like to rinse them because they can get dirty or maybe they're grown with chemicals a lot of the times. We're putting them in a strainer too. It's the thing with the holes in it because it strains the water out. That's the action verb. The strainer, it strains. So that should be enough strawberries right there. Gonna rinse them off now. This is called rinsing. When you take the water over the berries, see how it comes right out the bottom here? So the strainer is straining the water from the strawberries. And now let's get to slicing and dicing. I'm gonna get a good knife here. So we have multiple types of knives. If you saw our latest Instagram reel, you'd know that this fork, this spoon, and these knives. So these knives, one is a steak knife and one is a butter knife. I like to cut with a steak knife, not a butter knife, because butter knives don't really have much serration, is what that's called. This has a lot more. So we're gonna cut our strawberries and just slice them kind of thin. So this is called batter. The whole thing is batter. Batter is what goes in the pan and then the product is what comes out. So bread, cake, cookies. These are called the tops of strawberries. So we have the entire strawberry and then just this is the tops. We don't use the tops in cooking. Sometimes I put them in my smoothies because apparently they're pretty good for you. But I don't typically use them when like making a bread or something. Strawberries are ready. We're just gonna take a fork here and mix it back in. Just kind of fold. This is called folding. When you don't fully like mix, the recipes will say fold in your blueberries or chocolate chips or add-ons. And that's because when you're folding it in like that, it doesn't activate the baking soda, baking powder, or anything like that, so it won't affect the way that the bread rises up. We've got our banana bread pan here. Let me show you what it means to grease a pan. So to grease a pan, we have this half of a giant stick of butter. I'm just gonna take this butter and I'm going to rub it all over this pan, just like this, because this ensures that the bread will not stick, that the batter rather, will not stick to the pan, so when you go to pull it out as bread, it will come out with ease. That way you're not getting it all stuck to the pan. You know, you've done that before, I'm sure, where you've forgotten to grease a pan and then you go, oh no, it's gonna come out awful, and it sticks and you have to rip it out with your hands. It sounds like I've done that before. Now let's pour the batter into the pan. I'm gonna get myself a spoon here. A lot of the times you can get like a spatula or something to scrape it out easier. Here we go. Pour that batter. Wow, that looks good. So we're gonna scrape the sides. This is called scraping the sides of the pan. So now our batter is complete. It is in the pan and it is now time to put this in the oven. I wanna bake 45 minutes or 1 hour for one big loaf. So I'm gonna put it in for 50 minutes, let's say. Just because I like my bread, like banana bread, to be a little bit gooey, a little chewy, and not so dry. We're gonna put the timer on. All ovens are different, some are better than others. We're just gonna hold this down, 30, 40, 50. There we go. Now let's clean up. You can see that's me and my grandpa as a kid. Don't mind that. This is a sponge. We're gonna take the sponge just as it is and wipe off as much as we can. This is wiping. So we're just gonna wipe these surfaces here. Now we're going to rinse the sponge. It's when you kind of let it fill with water and you go like that to rinse a sponge. We're gonna use some Lysol because I like to keep everything pretty clean, especially since we just used eggs and stuff. Just gonna spray a couple sprays. We're gonna take some paper towels and we're gonna fully clean off the surface. Wiped, smells good. It's like we never cooked. Okay, so now while the bread is baking, I'm gonna walk you around the kitchen and just point out some different kitchen utility items. First thing as part of the cleanup is that we are going to load the dishwasher. That's what it's called when you put things in, you load the dishwasher. So let's do that. Open the dishwasher, pull it out, put them in their correct slots here, and then there, that easy. So now the sink is all dirty, it has scraps in it. So we're just gonna turn the water on and clean out all the scraps. Clean the sink thoroughly here. We have the fridge here, we have the freezer, and then we have the fridge. We have the counters. These are granite countertops. They're like a certain stone. Some people use different types of stone. I'm not really sure much about that. Cabinets here. So we have some cabinets with sauces and such. Sink. This is the soap dispenser. You press it and soap comes out. This is the nozzle of the faucet. So this is the faucet. This part is the nozzle. You can switch it to be different types of things. That's a spray, and this is just a normal. Here we have a blender. It will liquefy pretty much any food. We have our coffee machine. This is a Keurig. It has the pods. These are called pods. And then this is the toaster oven. So you pull it out and you can pretty much put anything in here as well, as long as it's on a solid plate. Okay, the bread is all done. It's been 50 minutes. Let's pull it out and we're gonna check it. Oh my, does that look really good or what? Ooh, you can see the banana, the strawberry. Now let's grab a fork. It's ready. Oh, kind of. I think it's fine. Time to cut into this banana bread. I'll just cut a little piece out of the corner. Oh my gosh. It's still really hot, so it fell apart. That banana bread. That looks so good. Once it cools, it will solidify a bit more. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments section below. And as always, continue following us. Please subscribe to our YouTube if you haven't already. And I look forward to teaching you more and more English. Have a great day. Bye.